Hi everyone. I'm excited to do like this intro to product management and pretty much just the world of like building great products. We have, it's not a really long agenda, but we have a few things on our agenda. So we'll do a quick icebreaker. We'll talk about like what exactly product management is, and then we'll go into like products, and then who gets the chance to manage like, all of these products and some resources that I think would be helpful for anyone who considers this an area that they would like to go into. But before, for those who do not know me, my name is Sharon. Everyone calls me Z. Feel free to address me as that. My last gig was at GoPuff, an e-commerce company based in Philly, and I was managing our loyalty department over there. So pretty much when you think of why a customer would want to come back to a company, I was in charge of that team, working with a bunch of engineers in different departments to encourage customer retention. I'm also a writer and a podcaster. I have a blog called Z's Corner and a podcast called Z Talks. And I'm also the founder of Put Me On, an organization where we try to bring access to underserved students. So yeah, that's a brief introduction. But before we even dive into what exactly products are, I have a question for the group. Feel free to just unmute and speak because if you put it in the comments, I might not hear. But which of these do you think are products?
The shoes, maybe?
Okay, shoes. That's a good one.
The calculator.
Calculator. Okay, that's a good one.
I assume all of them are products in some way or form.
Sorry, you said
I think all of them are products in some way or form.
all of them are products in one way or form. Hmm. Interesting. Does everyone agree, disagree? Love to hear the team. Solomon, Tatenda, Asia. What do we think? Are all of these products, none of these, some of them? Google? I mean, we know Google's a product for real.
All of them are products, like one way or the other, like Daniel said.
Absolutely. So to be mindful of time, all of these are products. And when we think products, our mind instantly goes to the fact that it has to be um, a software. So when people think product management, they're thinking, I will go and work in a tech company and I'm going to go be a product manager there. But there are so many organizations and so many institutions that have product managers, and they do not create like software. Like if you want to think of a trucking company, like some trucking companies recruit product managers, and people are like, what? I have no idea this exists. But it just ties into what you view products are as rather. And products are pretty much anything that, has been created to solve a problem. And with product management, it is established as a role within a company to ensure that, there are people who are responsible for, guiding the development and the success of these solutions to problems. That's pretty much what it is. So the sector product management covers like overseeing the product life cycle, which I'll walk us through. But like, ideation phase, development, growth, eventually retiring. For example, there's some software applications that Google had when they were starting out that they no longer offer. So like products also go through like a retirement phase, and you need somebody to be able to tell like it's time to retire this. Just because like something is doing well doesn't mean it's the right thing for the season. And then like, overall it's that space for like collaboration between where the company needs to be and where they currently are. Um, but before I even go into like product fully, I just want to give us a clear perspective of like what every company is very focused on pretty much, and is the marketing mix. And it says marketing mix, but like everybody in the company is focused on this. The CEO, the business analyst, the product manager, everybody's focused on this. But as a product manager, even though like your product, you need to focus on these four P's. It's product, place, promotion, price. And you're wondering like, why would a product manager decide the price for a certain thing? Or why would they determine the placement? Or why would they determine promotion? And that goes back to my last point that product management is that space for cross collaboration. So as we start to look into like who a product manager is, we will see how they leverage these four P's. So like, as a product manager, you're focused on like creating the product, but in the process of your ideation, in the process of your research, you're deciding where to place it. And this is not just a single decision that's like resting on you. So like don't feel burdened. You also get to determine pricing. And for that, you would like work with the finance team. You would work with engineering to understand what kind of resources are we using. And of course, like promotion. You've made a really good product, but your product is not going to sell if you're not promoting it the right way. And who better to decide how to promote a product than the person who thought of it? Like if I give like an application that I create for persons living with disability and I give it to John, but he's like, oh, this is so good. I think it would be great for just women. And I'm like, wait, that was not the initial goal. But because I understand the intent behind my ideation phase, my goal would be to educate John and make sure we're properly promoting these things. Which is how every good product starts. But let's take it back a few steps. What makes a great product? And I've just listed them to three main things. These three go deeper. But I think like if we're looking from the general perspective as a product manager, what exactly would I call a great product? And the first would be something that's functional. If you have something that looks amazing, um, like you say, you're telling like a simple story using so many words. There's some products that work like that. You have like 20 million steps before you actually get to like the thing that you need. Um, that's, in my opinion, not a great product. So we want something that's functional and that's immediately solving the customer's pain point. And part of solving that customer's pain point is understanding it. So as a product manager, you need to understand what exactly are customers worried about. If I'm a fashion brand for women, maybe my customers are more worried about like having things that are aesthetically pleasing, compared to me being like a shoe brand for athletes. Athletes want things that are comfortable. They want things that, would encourage and provide the maximum inputs in whatever sport they're playing. So you want to make sure that what you're doing ties in with your customer pain point. And that leads to the second, which is like user-centered design, making sure, this is built with the customer in mind. And just because you're building a great product does not mean it needs to be ugly. There's some really good websites, but like they are so archaic, and it's like it's not like they don't have great content, but people just have to like suffer through it. So like anybody who would take like if you find any of those websites and you like remodel it today, like you will definitely get customers. And that's like something like a friend of mine, or someone that I know is doing right now. Like we're all or a number of people should be familiar with Jeff Post. It's been there for a minute, and I know someone who's raised over 100K, if my numbers serve me right, just to like change the game in that space. So like, there's a market when people like take all of these three things and put them together, and that's how great products are formed. So I've briefly mentioned the product life cycle. So like, you've thought of all these three things and now you're ready to start. But you need to know like every good product has a start and an end. So your introduction or your ideation phase is where like, you have this like brand new product you've created. And people seem to think that the job of a product manager ends once you push out the product. Like, you publish, you have your product live, people are using it, they're loving it, and you think that's it. But as a product manager, you start thinking of like, okay, how will I make sure I stay relevant in the market? And that's where growth starts to come in. Okay, 10 thousands of people are using, like thousands of people are using your product. It's popular, it's famous. How do you stay relevant? And as you go through this phase, I used to have like this diagram that shows like, the arc. Some products never escape this phase. And that's when you see like something come out, it seems like really amazing. They're raising a lot of money. And then like, just they just stuck in this like there's a word for it, but for lack of a better way, so just stuck in this phase. where they never go from growth into maturity. And most of the products that, we love today are have reached that point of maturity. Google, Amazon, all of these are, they're in their prime. But the interesting thing about the world of product is you're always in all of these phases, at least the last three, every point in time. So when you reach maturity, everybody loves you. You are, you're a well-established household name. Something in product management that's very key is like a lot of companies say we want to be a verb for our customers. So when you think of like I want to get a delivery, you just like, oh, let's just use Prime or let's Prime it. Um, just get DoorDash. A number of companies want to be that, that verb that you use whenever you're thinking of doing a certain thing. And that's when you're in that maturity phase. But then, there's always new companies coming out, which is where decline happens. And then you have to start again. That's your opportunity to reinvent. And that's really where a product manager exceeds, sorry, that's where you exist rather, and that's where you're supposed to thrive. Okay, I've gone through introduction, growth, maturity. There's a decline, which means there's a room for me to reinvent, and that's how people stay relevant within this space. So I want to walk us through the reasoning. So now I've told you this is how you need to like build great products, but I want to walk you through the reasoning, right? As someone who wants to get into this space, whatever it is you're working on, whether you're working for a company or you're working for a personal project, you need to understand some of these things. And these are just general overviews. So like take them and then like run with them, do further research, and like they would help you succeed in product management. You want to know your goal. And when I say succeed in product management, success is truly building great products that customers are interested in and customers want to use and is relevant for the business. So, I just wanted to call that out because like you can build like something that's exciting, but like if customers don't want to use it or if it's not bringing in money for the business, then you need to reinvent your wheel. So know your goal. What exactly do you want to achieve? If you're a brand for an athlete, if you're a brand targeting athletes, it would affect the way you decide certain things compared to if you're a brand for children. Um, Understand the players, who is in your space, what are they currently doing, what does the competition look like? And then you want to make sure you're planning your moves, right? Create a game plan that makes your team happy. And when I say your team, it's not just the engineers you're working with, it's your supervisor, it's the marketing department that you have to partner with, it's the finance team that needs to, make that annual evaluation of where they stand as a company. And in doing this, when you repeat all of these things, you just have to make sure that, you practice, practice what you're doing. And then once you get to a good spot, and part of practicing is experimenting. Do not be afraid to experiment, but have ways to measure the results of your experiment. It's not just to say like I ran a lot today. It's like, okay, I ran a 5K, run, and then now I'm going to 10K and now I'm going higher and whatnot. Whatever like, met success looks like, have metrics that tie into them. And then like play the game. Like do not be afraid to put your product out there. Do not be afraid to start. A number of people do all of these four things, but never go through stage number five. They never play the game. So play the game, launch when you're ready, and this is very like in air quotes because you will never be truly ready. So launch once you have your MVP, which is your minimum viable product that is something that customers can at least use and make sense. And then like keep improving. Your job as a product manager is never, never done. And I know I've spoken about who a product manager is through all of this. So I will end with, well, I'll close off with who the product manager is, right? You wear many hats. You set the vision for the team. You're researching, you're like, TechCrunch says like AI is the next big thing, AI for ed tech. How can we integrate into that space? You know, you set the vision for the team, and you do this by researching. You're understanding everything that's changing within your scope. For loyalty, when I was managing the loyalty department, I was like on my A game. Like I didn't use like all these other e-commerce platforms, but I needed to know like what they were doing and why customers were going back to them. So you're researching your competition, and in doing so, you're creating a roadmap that you can follow. So when you look at what other people are doing, yours is not your job as a product manager is not to go recreate what they're doing, it's to innovate, right? You want to make sure that, you take all of that information, you have some time for critical thinking, and then you create a roadmap um, for that idea that was birthed due to that process. And every roadmap is only as good as like, the teams that understand it. So if your teams do not understand your roadmap, it's very useless. So you need to be the communicator. Now you need to be the decision maker because like you're telling your team this roadmap and everybody's having like wonderful ideas as to how it can be better. That's part of communicating. You're listening to people, interested in what they're saying, but you also get to make like decisions. You get to say, okay, we're going to prioritize this, and this is why. This is why. Which brings me, I'm going to skip a little to data analysts. You need to make data-driven decisions. You don't just say like, I think this is going to be nice. You say, I think this is going to be good, a good way to follow because of X% of people saying XYZ. And then you want to make sure you're advocating for your users because the numbers could say one thing, but like when you interact with your users, you need to also understand what they're saying. And finally, people's favorite view of a product manager is like you're a mini CEO. You get to be the leader of your own team. You get to own your own space. Part of like leading loyalty was like I got to decide, okay, loyalty, this is what we're doing. And like, this is the route we're taking. Of course, I still report it to people, but it's like you're a mini CEO for whatever space it is you're covering. If this is something that seems intriguing, exciting for you, I just want to offer some resources that could help in either landing a product manager job or an internship, whatever the case may be, or even if it's just something you want to explore more and learn about, like just making great products. Because I think even as a developer, thinking from the product space will help you in the long term for an internship or for a full-time job because you're like, the decision makers of my team, here's how they're thinking, and it makes you very proactive instead of reactive. So you can definitely leverage like Medium articles. There's a number of them, Coursera, edX. I particularly love Product School, Mind the Products. Try Mocked is an interview platform where you can like see how product managers get to think and answer some interview questions from them or for them rather. And then there are a few books that I would recommend reading, even if you're not a product manager, just cracking the PM interview, Inspired. Inspired is literally like the tagline is how to build great products, and then Empowered. And then there's like various online communities that you can leverage. But I know I just went through, just wanted to be conscious of time, but let me know if you have any questions. All right, thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for that insightful session. Now we'll take question. I think Solomon have his hand raised. Yeah, you can go ahead and ask your question.
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed the presentation. It was really spot on and very informative. My question is, what really made you wanted to go into product management?
Okay. Awesome. I will give you the official and unofficial answer. The official answer is I love to yap. I love to talk. And like I mentioned, being a product manager, you are this bridge, some people would say, for your team, which means you're interacting with everybody and anybody in your space. And I genuinely just realized, okay, this is a space where I get to yap. So I decided to stick with it. But prior to even having a product manager role, I got to do like a number of things for my capstone project, um, where I had to like simulate what being a product manager would be like. And I think it was during that process I recognized some of my transferable skills that would really interface within the space. So like I enjoy documenting. Like I said in my introduction, I'm a writer. As a product manager, you get to write a number of documents. I enjoy talking. I have a podcast, you know. So I think it's identifying your transferable skills and then like saying like what would be a good fit for that. And then like, you know, taking that leap of faith. The first internship that I had for like as a product manager, I, you know, had to say no to like software engineering internships. And it was like, what if I do this and I don't like it? But it was just that leap of faith, and I thankfully got the chance to really try it out and enjoy it, and I still love it till now.
Awesome. Thank you.
Do we have any other question? You can put in the chat or just come on mute and ask.
I'm also just going to, okay, yeah.
Okay, I will have a question. Go ahead.
Okay, so my question would be with like the advent of AI and like the rise of AI, how is that going to impact generally the product management space?
That's a great question. I will tell you, I'll start off with an answer Senior PM gave, and then I will tell you what I think. Take it with a grain of salt. And his answer to my question was pretty much nobody knows how artificial intelligence is going to change anything. Everybody can only predict what they think will change, but nobody can really predict how things will go. And I think I've seen this play out in the space of like software engineers where a lot of CEOs are like, by 2030, like AI is going to be writing code and we're not going to need junior engineers. And I think with every technological rise and, you know, invention, we've seen like things, systems change, and it's people who can adapt to it, that will survive. So I would say it would make product managers more efficient, and it is people who are able to leverage these tools that will stand out. So for example, my very first internship as a product manager, or or a product management intern, regardless, you would have to create like a prototype of like whatever it is you're bringing to the team. So if I think like this is a genius idea, I'm like going to make like a website or something that kind of simulates it so that the engineers can have an idea of like what it is that I'm talking about, or at least like even a Figma prototype. Now, imagine I still work at that company. Now there's AI. I could just like go in and be like, chat, help. So I think it would make product managers more efficient, and people who can leverage these tools will stand out and remain relevant.
Hmm. All right, thank you.
Okay, I'll just ask the last question. So what are your future plans right now after your master's program? Since we know you're currently doing a master's program.
Oh my goodness, that's hilarious. I literally told somebody this morning, I was like, I hate those kind of questions. No, I love the question. Just hate having to think through. So thank you for that splendid question. I How do I answer this one? It's interesting. I think I have a number of like things that I find myself doing, and I would want to explore them. So like I mentioned, I'm the founder of an organization called Put Me On, and we're looking to grow and scale. But I also enjoy industry work, so I see myself working in the industry while doing all of this. And of course, leverage my master's degree to like actually teach students. So who knows? I might be coming to a classroom near you. But thank you so much. Thank you all for having me. I will stop sharing my screen now.
Yeah, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it.
Yep, yep. I saw a message about providing access to those slides. I can do that.